In this video, we're going to continue the example that we started in the previous video. And this example has three different questions. We were given the following information. It says a new truck requires an investment of $30,000 and is expected to have the following market values and expenses. Question 1 was, if the MAR is 10%, what is the asset's economic life? Right? We already solved that. Next, it says, if you want to know how much longer to keep the current truck for before it is replaced by the Challenger, the data was provided above. The Defender is now 2 years old. It originally cost $19,500 and currently has a market value of $7,500. If kept, these are the market values and expenses that can be expected. So here we have these. Now the third, we answered that already. Now here's the new question. What if the period of needed service was 4 years? So remember that whenever we, for most, in case it wasn't clear before, in most problems, in most replacement analysis problems, we are either assuming an infinite life, and that's what happens when we do capitalized worth, or we're assuming that the life of the assets, or at least the Challenger, and the analysis period match, and that the Defender and Challenger can be analyzed for the same period in a way that makes sense. Now, there are situations where we're going to find that the Challenger and the Defender have different lives, and that's again where repeatability becomes useful. But one thing you have to think about when you think about repeatability is it's kind of a far-fetched assumption that you can replace your Defender in the same way as you're analyzing it, because we're ignoring the past costs, or sunk costs, and we're looking into the future. But how could we replace something if when we analyze it, we're not taking certain information into account? Plus, why would you replace your Defender with another Defender if you're comparing it to a Challenger, right? So in that case, just keep the Defender for longer. So what we can assume, though, in case of repeatability, is we can assume that we are going to replace the Defender with a Challenger, and if for whatever reason the analysis period is longer than the Defender and the Challenger, let's say that we are going to keep the Defender for 2 years and the Challenger only has a life of 3 years, then we can assume that we're going to replace the Challenger with another Challenger which has similar information. So I know that sounded vastly confusing, but just know that you have to be careful with repeatability. Now, a better assumption for this case is actually cotermination. And if you remember, cotermination stated that if you have the market value at different stages, you could actually finish a product assuming that you sold it in the middle of its useful life. So if we said what happens in this case, if the service was 4 years, then we have information for 4 years for this one and 4 years for that one, including the fifth, but we're going to ignore the fifth and we're going to assume that we're just going to sell it at this price at the end of year 4. So what we can do is we can actually try different combinations just to show you, and for all practical purposes, because of the results from the previous problem where we found that the economic life of this was 3 years, and that we were supposed to replace it at the end of I believe at the end of the 3rd year. Is that what it was? Yes. So at the end of the 3rd year, we were going to replace our Defender with our Challenger at the end of the 2nd year, going into the 3rd. Then we could just assume that we only look at 4 periods, but we can also compare, well, what if I keep my Defender 0 years, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and supplement the information with the information from the Challenger. So let's do this. So it is very important that you have seen the previous video, because this is going to be using information that we acquired previously from those videos. So I'm going to make this new table, and it's going to say keep Challenger for, then I'm going to hit add keep, sorry, not keep Challenger, that doesn't make any sense. Yep, let's try that again. keep Defender. That's what happens when I start just talking and not paying attention to what I'm writing down. Keep Challenger 4. And then we're going to have our marginal cost, but instead of having them vertical, we're going to place them horizontally. So total marginal costs. And then I'm going to put here for year 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this should have been over here. And over here, I'm going to find the EUAC of that, taking those marginal costs into consideration at 10% for 4 years. Okay, so let's make this table here. There we go. Okay, so let me use another color pen. Let's use a pretty green. Okay, so there's only so many combinations of years that I can keep my Defender or my Challenger for. So for my Defender, I can just get rid of it immediately and acquire the Challenger. I could also keep the Defender for 1 year, which means that I need to, if I'm looking at an analysis period of 4 years, then this needs to be 3, 2 and 2, 3 and 1, 4 and 0, right? All of these rows add up to 4 because that's my analysis period. So what am I going to fill out here? Well, we've found the marginal cost for, for the Challenger. Oops, going the opposite way. Yes. Oh, and I was going to say here they are, but no, I forgot that we erased them. So let's keep going. Okay, so we actually did figure out the marginal cost for both our Challenger and our Defender. So here, because we're getting rid of our Defender and we're going to keep our Challenger, I'm going to fill this information with information regarding the marginal cost of the Challenger. So this is going to be 12,375, 12,813, and 14,275. Right? Okay. Now, if I decide to keep my Defender for 1 year, then this year right here is going to belong to the Defender, and the rest of the years are going to follow the Challenger, but they're going to be shifted because now what year 1 for the Challenger will be year 2 overall. So I'm going to copy those numbers. Just note that this is what's happening. The 12,813. Now, if I keep my Defender for 2 years, then the first 2 years are going to belong to the marginal cost data of my Defender for 2 years is 12,000. And the next few years will be, again, just shift it over, the 13,500 and 12,375. What if we do 3 and 1? Well, that's 10,500, 12,000, 13,650, and then we continue by replacing with our Challenger. And finally, what if we just keep our Defender for all 4 years? Oops. 10,500, 12,000, 13,650. This number right here is 15,000. And what we're going to do now is we're going to find the equivalent uniform annual cost at a MAR of 10% for 4 years for each one of these years. So we're going to look like this, and like that, and like that, and like that, and like that. And I'm going to put a little asterisk here because I'm going to show you how I'm going to figure that out, and then you can do the rest. So this one is going to be, to find the EUAC, just imagine this our little cash flow. So it's going to be, I probably want to find the present worth first. So I'm going to do 13,500 P given F, 10 for 1, plus 12,375 P given F, 10, 2, because I'm moving it back 2 periods, plus 12,813 P given F, 10, 3, plus, I got ahead of myself. Nope. Let's try again. 14275, P given F, 10, 4, all of this times A given P, 10, 4. And this is not like calculating marginal cost in which every line was different. The next line, so this will be for where the asterisk is, I'm going to put a little squiggle here. It will be the same, but this we're going to use 10, 500, P given, what's that? I have no idea. 10, 1 plus, and then all of this will be copied over down because nothing changes, including that. This is the only thing that changes, but each one of my numbers is going to change. So this is equal to 13,211, oops, 12,225, 12,006, 12,284, and 12,607. So we see here that this minimizes my EUAC, which I believe was consistent with what found before. I can't remember right now. However, that's not necessarily the case. It'll depend on where we make the cut, and it'll depend on a number of other factors. But this is what it would look like if they had different lives, but if we were looking at an analysis period that does not match the lives of both the Challenger and the Defender. Okay?